A very good morning to you right here from Nairobi, Kenya's capital. It is exactly 6 a.m. this particular morning on a Wednesday. I'm glad you could be with us. And I'm back. Joined.
You're welcome.
You're welcome back.
Last time when we said you're not well, we were so concerned. What is not happening?
What is the issue, by the way? You know, kuna maswali mengi sana kichwani.
We're so curious.
Last time
what happened?
Around 9:50, nikaambia watazamaji kwamba our very own Kitani hajisikii vizuri.
He's not feeling well.
Na maswali mengi yaliflow kwa my DM, Facebook, WhatsApp.
All I can say is that I am alive and well
alive
today.
And kicking.
And very well.
You don't want to tell our viewers what was happening to you?
Exactly.
Because we had your back.
In a nutshell. In a nutshell. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. In a nutshell.
Just some flu, nothing big. But again, apparently after I left, a day later, she also left. So how are you doing?
Actually,
I'm doing better, and I blame you.
Of course, ebu nataka muangalie.
Fair enough. You blame me, but you'll be listening from my lawyers very soon.
Nataka muangalie our distance. You see, mimi niko mbali na nyinyi wawili. I think it was a issue because when ulianza ulishikwa na homa ukaenda nyumbani and then next day ulipotoka tu huyu naye hakuingia show kesho yake. But well, all in all mko sawa kabisa.
Tunashukuru Mungu.
Yes, mtazamaji, it's a very beautiful morning today. It is the 13th of August 2025, siku ambayo Rais William Ruto atakuwa anafungua officially the devolution conference. Ambayo is the 9th one, right?
Yeah.
The 9th devolution conference in Kenya. Now everything is set. We shall be bringing that event live here on K24. But before that, 20 maswala mbalimbali ya this Amka Kenya, fanyeni hivi. Kila mtu afanye hivi. Nitawaambia kwa nini?
Like
no, just do like this on your left hand. Left hand. Yako ni left, sindio?
Yes.
So today the world is celebrating World Left-Handed People Day. Yes, put it down, okay? Because today ni siku ambayo watu ambao wanatumianga mkono wa left kwa kula, kuandika na mambo mbalimbali. Sindio? Now before transition ningependa kusikia from nyinyi. What is that one notion you have about left-handed people?
What is the one thing that is different?
No, notion you have about left-handed people.
We are amazingly authentic and unique. It's not a notion, it's a reality.
It's a reality.
Just different. This is how we do.
Okay.
I have no comments.
Yeah, because you're a hater.
I really have no. I'm not a hater. I just don't have anything to say in regards to that.
He's a hater.
But anyway, this particular morning,
Ian Kitani, Remy Majala, Tony Murigi.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us this morning on Amka Kenya.
Let's go, Kitani.
Well, fair enough. But this particular morning, of course, I'll be having a conversation with one Patrick Nyambraka Osoi, who is a former KDF officer as well as a U.S. Army officer. We'll be talking about his arrest and release, and of course, as well in regards to the FBI movement, which he is the founder and, of course, incorporates two other officers, that is Hiram Kimathi and Kop Shekur. We'll be talking at length in regards to what is the motive behind the formation of this particular movement and what is at stake, because apart from being a former military man, Osoi is rather eyeing the house on the hill. That is status. And of course, is a presidential candidate, like he says, in the 2027 general elections. Among those who are seeking to oust President William Ruto amid continued discontentment, with the head of state maintaining that, it will not be an easy task to get him out of office, and he will fight to ensure that he implements his manifesto in a bid to make it easier for him to be re-elected.
All right, well, there you go. I love that intro, Ian. So let's, of course, wait for the conversation that will be coming on Polytalks on the same. Right, so on Amka Vibe Check, we'll be having a very interesting conversations about the traditional, or can I say typical gender roles in a relationship in modern day, because some others would argue men do not have to do as men did or women as women did. It's a very, a progressive, quote-unquote, society. And progressive, I use that word lightly because others would still argue that we need the nuances that make men and women who they are in relationships, for that matter. So I'll be having my gang Brandy, Natasha, and Rick in studio. All very young people, but with amazing perspectives on this particular conversation to tell us, are gender roles still a thing, quote unquote, in relationships?
Yes, mtazamaji, siku ya leo from 9 a.m. on my set, we shall be having, that is Tom Musembi and Yvonne Hisa. Now listen to this story. There is an influencer who is also ex-girlfriend to Steve Simple Boy. Her name is Pretty Vichy. amesema kwamba she spent 1.5 million, not 500,000 as it was previously reported, on her tummy tuck and BBL. Just imagine someone using 1.5 million to tuck her tummy, all right, and not 500,000 as it was previously reported. Now, Mzamaji, this morning you may be asking yourself, what is BBL? Now, BBL, it is a procedure that involves transferring fat from one part of the body to other part, all right? So this is a trend. It has been there for many influencers. But from 9 a.m., we shall be talking about the story of this lady. She's a recent influencer in Kenya, by ametumia hii procedure, but it is famously, or it's famous in Brazil. Yeah? Lakini swali ni je, can you do that? We shall be talking more about this from 9 a.m. on Amka Trend Talks. Mimi, Yvonne, na Tom Musembi. Stay tuned.
Oh, fair enough. I'll be, of course, waiting to watch all your interviews, but more interestingly, Remy, I saw Brandy rather, is now an artist. I'm waiting to hear from Brandy. A rapper.
A whole rapper.
Of course, excited for her, but now to our Amka alert this particular morning, and that is in regards to a court order that has been secured by one Cleophas Malala, the former senator of Kakamega County, and now the current deputy party leader of the Democratic for the Citizens Party, who has secured a court order barring police from investigating or arresting him in relation to an helicopter incident. And that is, of course, is in regards to him landing at the Buhungu Stadium during the final of the National Football Finals between St. Joseph's Boys Kitale and the Musingu Scorpions, a game that St. Joseph's Kitale did win. Now, it is worth noting that the DCI had, of course, summoned Malala in regards to that particular incident, but the former senator, through his lawyers, went to court to seek, of course, orders that will bar his arrest. Now, there have been questions in regards to whether DCI is mandated to undertake this particular investigation, or whether that particular incident falls under their jurisdiction or their mandate. And the senator, in a bid to, of course, prevent his arrest, they say all this is politically motivated again, has gone to court. And, of course, he has now been granted the orders, and nobody will come to arrest him. And that, of course, includes officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. Remy, I don't know whether you saw that particular incident and, you know, what to make about it.
Right. I mean, there's, like you mentioned, questions on the same, on whether the DCI has the mandate, of course, to, you know, basically uphold these particular charges, but it continues to say failure to comply with the summons could have led to prosecution. However, the court's interim order now bars any or interference with Malala's liberty as the legal process unfolds. As my colleague Ian has said, his lawyers and the like have barred this, and the court rather has barred this particular arrest. Now, what this means is that that Malala cannot currently be arrested in relation to the helicopter landing incident, and also, while his arrest is blocked, the investigation remains active, and it's possible that formal charges could still be pursued or reconsidered. Tony?
Just a slight correction on that, whatever Keitani amesema, I think it's not Bukungu, it was Mumias Complex Stadium.
Complex.
Yes, that is the case ambayo anahusishwa nayo, aliweza kulanda katika uwanja wa Mumias Complex Stadium on the 2nd of August, ambapo that was everything that is happening, and this was signed by Lady Justice Beth Alice yesterday. Mzamaji, now let me just take a look at some of the tweets of Kenya in regards to this story, Yamalala Kulan na Chopa on the 2nd of August. We have a comments from Kenyans, that is Vintage Buddy says, truth be told, that was wrong. It was a disruptive. It was not necessary. Hata huyo pilot alikosa. Wajibu maswali, order must prevail. The police are right in this instance. That's a comment from Vintage Buddy. Let's now take a look from the comment from Kelvin Kasioka, who says, as much as we dislike this one-term government, I will say as it is, Cleopas Malala was wrong to land on a stadium right in the middle of a game. I was there, and it is wrong. The stadium was hosting a football match, not a political rally. Let's separate politics from our beautiful game. And now let's take a look at the last comment. The last comment in regards to this story, Cleopas Malala, who says, Robert Atalisa says, easy case. Malala only needs to say it was the captain who landed it. Then the captain needs to say it was an emergency landing. Case closed. Yes, mtazamaji, that is a comments from Kenyans this morning in regards to story ya Cleopas Malala, lakini koti imetoa taarifa ya kwamba imetoa sheria ama onyo ya kwamba hakuna mtu ambaye anafaa kuweza kumkamata, na hii kesi itaweza kusikilizwa tarehe 20 Agosti mwaka huu.
Of course, as we move to the 5 things that you need to know, the lawyer might have listened to the advice of what the viewer just said, because his lawyer Edgar Busiega says Malala was only a passenger in the helicopter and had no role on its piloting or landing. But now we shift gears to the 5 things that you need to know this particular morning, and we begin with matters the Championship for African Nations, and the government has of course called on Kenyans to adhere to all set regulations, and of course this is in regards to Kenya being the capacity of the capacity of fans will be allowed to attend the Kenya versus Zambia clash on Sunday at 3 p.m. being reduced from 46,000 to around 27,000, which is 60% capacity of the Moi International Sports Center Kasarani, after serious security breaches. Remember that occurred during Kenya's win over Morocco. Remember, Morocco are the two-time champions of the tournament, and of course there have been concerns in regards to whether the country can adhere to the set regulations. Remember, we've not seen similar incidences with Tanzania or Uganda, who are co-hosting this particular tournament with us. And first of all, Remy, I don't know, you promised us that you'll attend the Kenya match versus Angola. Did you attend that game?
No, I wasn't able to. Actually, it was around the time that I really got unwell. But this particular one that the FKF president, is saying, the one on Sunday, that you're supposed to be there 5 hours before the match.
Yes.
Well, for some people, it's not sitting well. But in regards to, of course, Kenya losing its right for hosting or security breaches like we have seen, then you may want to consider this.
Na kulingana na FKF president, that is Hussein Mohammed, and also Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen, says not go to Kasarani Stadium unless you have a ticket, and those with ticket must arrive 5 hours before the event. Meaning kwamba if you're planning to attend this Sunday's game, that is Kenya against Zambia, you will have to go 5 hours. That's if it's 3 p.m., 5 hours is around 9 a.m. in the morning. Meaning you won't go to church this Sunday. Now we have a comments from Kenyans in regards to this story. Someone here says Kenyans are uncontrollable. By the way, tutaenda tu kama kawaida. 5 hours. Sasa watu wasiende kanisa or do their business before the game, but just sit at the stadium. And the last comment here says they are enforcing those regulations without providing alternative option. They are punishing Kenyans for loving football so much. Are they not worried about financial losses caused by the reduced attendance? That's a comment from the statement ambayo it's only 60% of Kenyans who will be allowed to go to the Kasarani Stadium, meaning it is only 27,000 Kenyans only.
Right.
Fair enough, and of course no one is punishing Kenyans. It is a matter of adhering to the set regulations in order to ensure that we are also not jeopardized in terms of hosting the AFCON 2027. Now, apart from that, the internal, of course, the Administration and Internal Security Committee will today hold sessions as from 9 a.m. at the Bunge Towers in regards to the vetting of the persons nominated, of course, as chairperson and member of the National Police Service Commission. That particular committee chaired by Delegate Member of Parliament, Honorable Nelson Koech, and the person nominated for the chairperson seat is Dr. Amani Yuda Komora, who will be vetted today, also alongside Miss Angeline Yamiton Siparo, who has been nominated as a member of the National Police Service Commission. Now, moving away from that, the other thing that you also need to know this particular morning is that President William Ruto will be officially opening the 9th Devolution Conference today in Homa Bay County. Remember, he landed yesterday at the Lakeside County. And this is 13 years of devolution. How has devolution been for you? Do you feel the benefits, or have you achieved? Do you see the fruits of devolution in your own counties? I don't know, Remy and Tony, if you guys from where you come from, you've seen the fruits of devolution, because they also say we've devolved so many things, not limited to corruption.
Right. There are very many different functions, that we've seen happening in our counties. Tito Taveta, we'll have that conversation at another point. But this particular theme for this year's Devolution Conference is for the people, for prosperity, and devolution as a catalyst for equity, inclusion, and social justice. And also, another thing we're looking at this morning is that the Joint Committee on Energy and the Committee on Public Debt and Privatization will today at 9 a.m., that is developers at the Hilton Garden in Mombasa Road received final submissions on the proposed privatization of Kenya Pipeline Company from the following institutions, that is the National Treasury, Privatization Commission, and the Office of the Attorney General and the Solicitor General for that matter. So it's been happening now for 2 days. This is the third day.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah,
this is the third day. So we'll be, of course, giving you the submissions that will be made, and we've been following this story up for you in our subsequent bulletins. We'll have that report.
As we enter the third day today, the MPs have been questioning the entire process, citing lack of public participation in the whole process of privatizing Kenya Pipeline. Mtazamaji, this morning, now from that story about Remi ameweza kuigusia subira mtazamaji, we are posing the question of the day from the story about Remi. Amesema kwamba MPs, they are on the day 2 of deliberating the whole process of privatizing Kenya Pipeline. All right. Today is day 3. Yesterday was day 2 of MPs deliberating the proposals of privatizing Kenya Pipeline. And we have the question of the day in regards to that story. All right.
Well, of course, we'll be crossing over to the question of the day in just a moment. But the fifth thing that you need to know this particular morning was the, of course, scheduled vetting of Dr. Duncan Oburu Ojwang as the chairperson of the Kenya National, of course, CHR, and of course, Mr. Duncan Oburu did decline the nomination by President William Ruto. Of course, in a communication to newsrooms, they say the Speaker of the National Assembly has, of course, last evening received a letter from the nominee for the position of the chairperson of the CHR, Dr. Duncan Oburu Ojwang, respectfully declining the President's nomination on account of personal reasons and a perceived conflict of interest. Therefore, that particular vetting session that was set for today at 10 a.m. this particular morning in Nairobi has been cancelled.
Right. And with that, of course, noted, those are the things that we'll be expecting, today that are happening in terms of what we'll be covering for you, what you need to be looking out for. But we want to ask you, of course, our question of the day, which is, what is your take on the government's plan to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company? What is your take on the government's plan to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company? Please give us your perspective on this matter. Our WhatsApp line is on your screens, and our handle on X and Facebook are the same, and that is at K24 TV. Would love to know what your thoughts on the same. As my colleague Tony mentioned, it's a very key factor, and one of our viewers, or rather some of the people on social media, is saying that it does not have enough public participation, of course, to have a better understanding on this.
Yes. Regarding that story, that is a question of the day. Zamaji, this morning we have a couple of comments from Kenyans, and now there's a Kenyan by the name Steve Maina who says corruption. There are people who have ensured that government parastatals purposely fail or have artificial losses. That's a comment from Steve Maina in regards to the question of the day on the what's your take on the government's plan to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company. Pia, before we even get a comment from Ian Kitani, there is a Kenyan who says here, by the name Machine, it is a good idea and it can work because it has worked in many countries. Only in Kenya, even a noble idea people hijacked with their toxic politics of negativity, and that way nothing will change. Just the reaction on Kenyans in regards to the whole topic of privatizing Kenya Pipeline.
You see, the CS for Treasury, John Barry, said, by privatizing the Kenya Pipeline Corporation, the country would save around 100 billion Kenya shillings. But of course, the government has been called upon to, prioritize curbing wastage as opposed to privatizing state corporations. Remember, the issue of privatizing state corporations has been a bone of contention since around 2023. Now, the most the issue on the table now is the privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Corporation, which is being supported and opposed in equal measure. We'll, of course, also be hearing from our panelists this particular morning in regards to that particular privatization move and whether they do support the privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Corporation. Now it's time for Amka Kenya viral. And joining us this particular morning is Ngugi Ndegwa, is the Executive Director at Ustawi Kenya. Very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for making time.
Well. Good morning. Good morning. Tony is right there.
Niko hapa. Part of the set.
Nashukuru sana. The last time I was here nilikuwa na homa kidogo. But I think today I sound a little bit like myself.
Hii homa ni kama
Well,
imetandika
hii
kila
homa ni
mtu.
kama ilikushika wewe, ikashika Remi na pia ikashika ile, ikashika
I
Ketani.
hope I was not the reason.
Look at him, ikashika ile. It's like a living thing.
Well,
Anyway,
tuingie kwa magazeti tuingie.
fair enough. Before we go to look at the dailies, let me just ask, do you support the privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Corporation?
Not at all, for various reasons, because I think if we were to look at the history of this country and look at a time when the former president, the late Daniel Moi, was in power, we had most of these things being privatized, and the country, we can't say the country lost in many ways. So I think even though sometimes we say there is nothing to learn from history, there is indeed something to learn from history. And I think it's a place that we wouldn't want to go back to. And generally for African countries, I think the best way will be to ensure that the nationalization of all programs, companies, or even where there are mines, to ensure that the people of African countries benefit. And this goes even into, if we were to look at things like mines, as I was saying, most of these resources that are mainly African do not benefit us. So generally, I think this will be a wrong move.
Right.
Well, fair enough. Let's now shift gears to the dailies, and we start with the People Daily. And on the front page of the People Daily, they say, the changing face of Raila. That is a story on page 4. They say, from statesman to traitor. You can turn to page 4. Remember, the People Daily is a newspaper that you can access for free online, but you can also download the PD app from the Play Store. Now on page 4, they say, from higher to bashful, Raila's old magic is fading. Man who now strides onto political podiums appears a shadow of a firebrand who once set stadiums roaring. Now we do know Raila Odinga was a very, very key critic and the leader of the opposition before he joined hands with President William Ruto in after the Gen Z uprising in 2024, and is now fiercely defending the government. And they say, from a statesman to a traitor. Gigi, from where you sit, would you deem Odinga a traitor? And if so, why?
I wouldn't really. I mean, let us cut him a slack for once. And this is because this is the nature of our politics. And we cannot blame him for playing politics as his generation, the people of his generation have done it. I think it is upon us as the people now of Kenya to ensure that we take it upon ourselves to ensure that the country moves forward, even without depending on those we call our leaders. And I think...
When you say depending, please elaborate that.
For a long time we have been too dependent on them, in a way that we do not, as a people, for a long time believe in policies, but we believe in these people. Right. One time they will be on this side, the other they will be on this side. And so we are wavering in everything that we believe in. In actual sense, we believe in nothing as a people. And that is the sad state of our politics. But it is indeed sad to see that someone who has fought per se for this country and done so many good things for this country in terms of fighting for democracy and what we call the second liberation, which indeed is the third liberation, in fact, ending like this, we would have said he is a statesman and that we can give him. But at the same time, it is still sad that we have seen him going down the drain in terms of what he believed in. And it is sad, but that is the state of our politics, and we cannot blame him for playing the politics that his generation plays.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. We'll be taking...